Hello everybody, it is Calxiyn here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, but you guys should subscribe. So today we are going to be talking about Cordovin, because I think that her arc as a villain was kind of interesting.
Yes.
This volume. Because at first it's like, okay, so first she doesn't let them get in. Like, she doesn't let Juniper talk to her, first of all. Like, she just tells them to fuck off and leave.
What do you think was her deal? Because I suspect it was, like, mad with power.
I think it's not that, but okay, if you have a random group of 4 huntsmen that are like, hey, we want to go to Atlas, of course she'd be like, no. What the fuck? Like, she sent them away, right? But when Crow comes, and when they request to go again, and when Maria comes, here's the two things that happen, I think. First of all, there's no proof that they know Ironwood. They could be any sketchy huntsman, and remember what
more people know about Ironwood than, so.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, right? The way that Beacon fell, to some sort of extent, was because Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald disguised themselves as Huntsman students.
Yeah.
They pretended to be Huntsman students, and that's how they got into Haven, and that's how they got into, Beacon, right? That's how they got into the Vital Festival.
Mm-hmm.
The world doesn't know that Lionheart sent that up, right? Yeah. They think that Lionheart just didn't know, because they said that Lionheart died bravely defending the school. Like, no, they didn't tell him. So, if I was Cordovin, right, or if I was Ironwood, I would be sketchy whenever some people claiming to be huntsmen just showed up at my doorstep, because they were able to trick a headmaster of the school into making them believe that they were actual students with actual papers, right? And that's sort of a fear. So I feel like if Cordovin sees Team RWBY, it's sort of like, nah, like, this is how Haven got fucked. Yeah. Because they let in random huntsmen, like, into their school, right? It's a different situation, but into their school that they didn't know, right? And that sort of destroyed everything. That destroyed Beacon, right? So I feel like that's the first thing, right? You can't just trust what they're saying at first. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, Cordovin's just doing her job. You know what I mean? Like, even though she's not doing it very nicely, like, she's still doing her job. And I would agree with that at first, right? But then, right, she sees Maria. And so that's her second personal vendetta, is that she knows Maria. She knows Maria's probably not working for the bad guys, but she doesn't like Maria. So if you're associating with Maria, you're some sort of bad person as well. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that Weiss is like, and RWBY, they're all like, we know that Ironwood is just worried. We know that he's scared. And even though I think at first Cordovin almost agrees, but then she's like, wait a minute, they're calling us weak, right? And so it's almost like, it seems at first that Weiss is getting through to her, right? And we talked about that when it happened, like with Weiss, what Weiss is saying. But then when she says, we know Ironwood is just worried, it's almost like, we know Ironwood is just scared, right? And so she kind of retreats and, no, we're not scared. Yeah. Everything's fine, fucking relax.
She's obsessed with the idea of power. Also, she does say something.
I don't think it's just power either. Yeah. It's just that she's protecting all of these citizens, and she doesn't want to look weak in front of them, because she says, like, these citizens are lucky to live here because we're protecting them.
I don't think
later
I think they show her to have more of an ego about it. Because she's like, the might of Atlas.
I know she has an ego about it, but I'm saying that it's
she doesn't want
nice
she doesn't want people to think
her being like, she doesn't want people to think Atlas is weak and she's supposed to protect the people. Then she fails later when the robot fails and she can't protect the people anymore. But then she comes back and she's like, it's our duty to protect the citizens after all, right? Like, it's sort of this progression of that is what she's really afraid of, is the citizens and the people that are here seeing them as weak because they're supposed to protect them.
Another thing in that scene is that, like, less than reputable, she
also looks at Blake,
Weiss,
right?
No, she looks at, well, what happens, like, Weiss can come in, but her less than reputable friends, and she kind of looks at Blake and Yang. Blake is presumably honest, and Yang, because remember,
I thought Yang was right beside her, so that's why.
But Yang was televised seeing, like, beating the shit out of Mercury.
Yeah, so that's.
And so as far as she knows, that dude's a lunatic who assaulted a Haven student.
Yeah, and so that's sort of, well, now they know Mercury's a criminal though, because he's on the news.
I guess that's true, but then again, how well does news travel?
I don't know. Well, they would have seen, it's playing on all the Mistral television stations.
But was it Mercury that was like, Mercury is also a bad guy?
Yeah, they had Emerald, Mercury, Cinder, and Hazel. So here's the question about that. A lot of people think that, I like that theory, personally. But I think it was more of a reference to Blake and Yang was just standing there, right?
It could be both. It could work both ways.
It could be both. I think it works both ways. So that's the other thing. It's like, in Cordovin's mind, why would you let these people into Atlas? Like, really? Like, why would you let Yang, who fucking kicked the students, why would you let... And so I understand Cordovin, but it also comes from a place of, like you said, it comes from a place of ego, because, first of all, she hates Maria, so that's a personal ego thing, right? And then second of all, the other thing about her is that it's sort of like, no, they called Ironwood weak. They think that he's weak. They think that they need to go and, like, protect him or whatever, like, they think that they're doing. And so that's the other thing. But later, it's personal now. Like, they think that they can disobey her and all that stuff. They think that they can, you know, sneak around like some lousy criminals. And again, she is just doing her job. They are criminals who stole a plane. But there's sometimes, like, what's the phrase? It's just like, even though it's legal, that doesn't mean that it's right to do. Like, a lot of people say, like, ethical. Yeah, a lot of people say, like, oh, well, what they were doing in Germany, like in Nazi Germany, some of it was legal. But that doesn't
technically
mean it was
legal because the law lets you do that, but
exactly,
it doesn't mean
but that
it's
doesn't
moral.
mean it's correct, right? And so there's sort of a legal and moral battle with Cordovin, because Cordovin's like, no, this is my job, like, this is the law, right? Like, Atlas is like, the law, we are the law.
It's like legal realism versus legal, like, relativism and natural law.
And so with Cordovin later, when she lets them go, it's because she sort of changed to see, okay, there is, like, a legal thing, but there's also their morality, and even though they could have ran away like criminals, they didn't. They actually helped the city, and that sort of proves to her that, hey, Team RWBY isn't bad. Right, and so that's when she sort of lets them go, and I think that's really interesting.
I also get the sense that, like, she thought she was very good, like, she was like, the might of Atlas, but she realized she fucked up bad. Yeah. Because she shouldn't have used that mech just to take out Team RWBY. Yeah. She could have probably just scattered some fighters and sent some soldiers. But she made it personal, right? But she made it personal. She realized, like, that's the other thing. She says it's all your fault, fault, and then she says your fault. Like, there's this sort of look on realization. Like, no, I'm an idiot. Like, no, I shouldn't be acting like this. I have far too much of an ego. So I think she's a really interesting villain, because she's not even necessarily a bad guy, but she is their antagonist for this.
At the beginning, I really wasn't that much of a fan of her. I was like, she seems kind of one note. But
at the same time, you kind of understand, like, she is just doing her job.
I was disappointed because I really wanted it to be winter the first time. But
remember that?
Yeah. But the more you see of her, the more I was like, oh, you know what, I actually did really enjoy it.
Because she does have some depth to her. She's not, like, she's doing her job. She also seems to want to suck up to Ironwood a little, because she's like, hey, put in a good word with Ironwood for me. Would you, like,
did
you know?
She say that?
Yeah, she said that to White. She was like, oh, and tell Ironwood that I sent my best guards.
Oh, right. She does want to suck up to Ironwood. Yeah.
I wonder if that's what the people in Atlas think. Remember how Atlas was like, welcome back, Manta 105 or whatever? Yeah. I wonder if welcome back, like, somehow Cordovin was able to send away that Weiss was coming back home. And so that ship is what they were expecting. That's why they weren't treated as hostiles. That would be kind of interesting.
Maybe.
If they somehow sent word to Ironwood.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Pigeon or something like that.
I think
it would be funny,
because the way she made it sound like that was like, oh, you were just going to be another plane that wasn't accounted for. There's already so many.
No. Like, remember how Weiss was originally supposed to go over there? I'm saying that Atlas thinks that that's just Weiss on the plane. That's the plane that Cordovin sent.
But there's no, like, intercontinental communication powers anymore.
No, but you could send a letter. You could send a pigeon. Like, you could send a bird.
I think the pigeon would take a while. I don't know how well they do. The pigeon would die in the... I don't know how well they do over
but you know what I mean? I think that would be kind of cool if they
Maybe.
were like, welcome home, Manta. Like, we've been expecting you.
I think it's more
just
like...
And then it's just Weiss and them on the plane, and they're like,
I think it's just like a call signal and a colloquialism. I think it's not that, big a deal.
That's not serious. I don't know. I think that would be kind of funny, though, because then it's like, oh, well, we were expecting Weiss-Schnee, and it's like, well, you got Weiss-Schnee, but
Weiss-Schnee and friends. You got Weiss-Schnee.
You got Weiss-Schnee and company.
Like... Weiss-Schnee, hunters in training, a
old lady,
a 14-year-old schizophrenic.
Oh God.
An alcoholic and an old lady.
Anyway, that was kind of off topic, but yeah, she had a lot more depth than people were expecting, because it is the legal thing, and it is sort of the moral thing that as well, that she sort of realizes later. She has her own fuck up moment, and I don't know, she seems to actually care about the people, though, and care about...
In that moment, because before she was like, she had disdain for...
Yeah, like, these people should be lucky that we're here.
At this point, she realized, like, yeah, we're not that great. We kind of fucked up.
Team RWBY does change her out, like, RWBY changes her outlook to some extent. I really like her as a character. I think that they did really well with her. I know that a lot of people were like, well, like, Adam is bad and whiny. Like, Adam should have gotten, like, this, and Adam should have gotten that. But really, what they really gave depth to was Cordovin, I think, to some extent. And she deserved it, by the way, compared to, like, other characters.
It was surprising. And I feel like people who are kind of missing, I think, what the point was, what the intention was with Adam.
Well, that's a whole other...
Yeah, so we've already talked about that at length. But yeah, Cordovin was good. Probably not going to see her again. Maybe in the finale, the last episode, you just see that fucking robot running in the background, fighting
little celebration.
Another That's Bubbles. So man, I love Bubbles. I love that big boy Grimm, that Leviathan.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy.
I understand that you don't feel that way.
I don't care. I don't know if I like the Grim.
He's just, you know what? If they make like any merchandise of that Grim, I'm gonna buy it for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy you the Bubbles T-shirt. I would not buy it.
I
would not buy it for myself, but I would certainly buy it for you.
Cut the sleeves off at least. Anyways, this is one of the shirts that I've cut the sleeves off of. I like it a lot better now, but yeah. Anyway, so that's it. I hope we see you guys later. Bye! Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys want to support the channel, you guys should be patrons just like our wonderful patrons whose names will come on the screen now. $10 patrons get videos sometimes 2 weeks in advance, sometimes 3 weeks in advance, basically much earlier than anyone else. They can also request us to do a video for them, so this could be a reaction, a theory, a discussion, anything like that. Our $5 patrons get a week in advance early access, or somewhere within that time frame, so between 2 days early and 7 days early basically, but usually it's 7 days early because I'm good with my scheduling. Anyway, our $1 patrons and all of our patrons above the $1 tier get access to our Discord server, so if you guys want to talk with us, talk with other fans of whatever you're watching right now, you guys can, and I hope that we will see you there. Bye.